Much. Mr. Plainos has the floor now.
Δεν ξέρω.
Δεν θα τη χρησιμοποιήσω, αλλά καλό είναι. Κοιτάξτε, δεν θέλω να βαρύνω, γιατί βλέπω ήδη είναι αρκετά αργά και δεν θέλω...
Ναι, καλά θα κάνει.
Κοινό αυτή τη στιγμή που είχε μείνει ως τώρα...
There's a lot that I prepared, but I do realize that it's quite late in the afternoon. I'd just like to move on to the last slide, because that's what it's what differentiates Longi from as a company. And I'd just like to focus on what my friend Ipatios also said. So if we move to the final slide, it's also the reason why I'm got into Longi and why I'm still there. And I want to see every day. Let's move to the final slide. Together we unleash a zero-carbon future. Is what Patios just said. We're going to create a green world. All of us here want to do this. Of course, it's very bold for a government or a system, not just a government, to want to put an investor in a room, cover them with a black sheet, put lots of traps around them, tell them to not move, to not tell them where to go, and just kind of leave them there. I believe that that's not an investor, that's a gambler. And I would also like to agree for the previous speaker who talked about the licensing environment in Greece. There isn't a single person who can look at the market as a whole. And that's sad. How can we be talking about a healthy market in Greece? We want everybody to be connected when everywhere in the world, the whole market is at 50% in domestic installations and another 50% in utilities, and we're at 1%, not even 1%. We're trying to do something completely different, something that has never worked anywhere else. We want to see investments made by big investors, but also small investors. And I think that this is good. This is something that we do need to do. And moving to what Ipatios said, yes, survival of the fittest. And this is just the laws of nature, and whether we like it or not, one way or another is going to happen. And this is what's actually happening here. I don't know if we need to let the market self-regulate. I think that there needs to be some regulation. I don't know what these rules should be, and I'm not in a position to say what these rules should be. I just wanted to give a slightly different angle to this discussion here and say that the investors' concerns are not only when they're going to get the license. Everybody seems to be focusing on when they're going to get the license, how they're going to transmit their energy. All these things need to be taken into account. So there isn't enough consumption, enough demand to absorb all that energy that we all want to enter the market. All the different infrastructures and railways and roads and the kind of ports and shipping connections and our network. These are all very important factors that need to be reinforced in order to create a important energy pylon an energy pillar in Greece. And in the Balkans, we don't have the financial institutions of the UK, for example, but we have the sun, and we don't have the ways of sort of doing things the way they're done in the UK. Well, you know that very well. We were there together, but of course, these things in Greece and in the south is not going to happen. Therefore, the only thing that we can do as a market is to try and respect each other, respect the companies that come to Greece to invest billions of euros. If we look at them together, yeah, we're talking about 1 billion, all of them. So we need to respect that, because we're a country that needs to attract funds from other countries. But I also like to focus on something that hasn't really been discussed a lot, which is connected to the panels. In my presentation, I had a lot of diagrams that were talking about the price reduction, the kind of fall of raw material prices, and why we're at the stage where we are now. However, I just like to kind of focus on two things that we need to keep in mind, that companies that go through procurement at a large scale, they need to have two things in mind. You cannot have a procurement for a large scale and a long period without taking into account, by taking into account only the price. There are many groups, and many of them Greek, which unfortunately, and it's sad to see that they go for a bid. They talk about a bid for the supply of materials that sometimes is going to be, the whole process is going to be 1, 2, or 3 years, because the kind of old-fashioned procurement says, show me 2 or show me 3 to see what kind of price I'm going to get. That's the old kind of approach. Now, brings the companies by choosing the cheapest ones, despite the fact that they face many problems. They seem to be trapped and being bound by contracts with companies that are going bankrupt, and with problems that become even bigger over the last few years with pandemic and with the war in Ukraine. Many talk about survival of the fittest, and yes, that's correct. However, most PV producers are now moving to survival of the cheapest, and unfortunately, the cheapest never works. And it doesn't work for many different reasons, because if somebody's constantly trying to be the cheapest one, and I'm going to give you an example. When I've worked in procurement, and for a big company, I tried to procurement in the UK by trying to bring the prices down as much as I could. That's when I realized, to my disappointment, that bringing prices down didn't give me low quality, but it just made me face the bankruptcy of the supplier. And this is what we see now with the majority of PV companies. And just as like our president said when he talked at the UN, when he said that we're not going to see one, but we're going to see many PV companies which are going to be on the brink of bankruptcy, having difficulties in developing some serious products. And therefore we need to look at suppliers in the eyes and judge them not only by the price, but also the quality and the ability to stick to what they say.